and we read King Log and King Crane. In both of those stories, there was a lesson to learn. Yesterday, you read again The Hares and the Frogs. Lots of frogs in the story. Today, we're going to be reading a story about mules. And you're going to be answering and asking questions about that story. We're also learning something new. We've already learned about nouns. Nouns name people, places, and things. Today, we're going to talk about another kind of word that's in a sentence called a verb. We're also going to be writing our final draft of our book report. You've worked really hard. You made a planning sheet, and then you wrote a rough draft. Yesterday, you edited your rough draft of your story about the two dogs. Today, you get to write your final copy of that story. We'll start it this morning in reading, and if we don't have enough time, we'll finish in writing time. And the last thing that we're learning to do today is we're going to be reading some sounds in our story. One of the sounds is k, and the other sound is you. Those words are going to be showing up in our story today. All right? So you know at the end of the day you had a good reading day if you can answer those questions in complete sentences, of course, because we answer questions in a complete sentence. And if you can find the action words in phrases. That's what a verb is. It's an action word. And also, if you can finish your final draft of your story about the two dogs. And the last thing is you're finding that sound k, spelled CK, and you're also finding the U sound spelled with U, consonant E. Then you'll know you had a good reading day today, okay? All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the verbs, all right? We've learned about nouns, as I said, and we also learned about a different kind of noun called a proper noun. And Morgan, every single time we talk about proper nouns, you say a special word about proper nouns. Proper nouns are what?
Specific.
Specific people, specific places. Or, in the case of a story, if it's a specific character. Proper nouns are naming people, places, and things, but it's specific. All right? Today we're going to learn a new part of speech, and it's called a verb. Verbs are the action part of the story. We look for those verbs when we're doing our math story problems, right? We try to figure out the action of the story. We're looking for the verbs in the story. There are things that you can do, like run, jump, read. It's something that you can actually do. Remember, nouns, we said, if they named a thing, you could hold it in your hand. Action words, verbs, are things that your body can do. All right? All right, so I have a phrase. And I want you to see if you can find out which word is the action word. All right? Here, ooh, this one's a whole sentence. Listen to this. Hop on one leg. Say that sentence.
Hop on one leg.
Plant a seed. Say my phrase.
Plant a seed.
Not Nicoma. You're Electo.
Plant?
Plant. What do you think, friends? Yeah. Sometimes plant is a noun that names a thing. But sometimes plant can be an action word. It depends on the sentence. You have to read the sentence to figure out, is plant a noun or is it a verb? In this phrase, it was the action word part. So those are called verbs. Action words are verbs. All right? All right. In our lesson plan, it says that we should do our story next. We're going to wait till the end to do our story next. You worked really hard on editing your stories yesterday. You looked for capital letters. You looked for punctuation. You looked to see that you spelled all these tricky words right, and you used kid spelling for all of the other words. And you looked for the who, the where, and the what. You made sure those were in your story. So you worked hard on those. When we're done reading our story today, we're going to write your final draft of your story. All right? All right, so we are going to be talking about a new story today, and it's called The Two Mules. The Two Mules. Does anybody know what a mule is? Joey, what's a mule?
It's like a kind of horse.
It's kind of like a horse. Anybody have something to add? Matthew, what do you think? What else do you think? It's kind of like a horse.
It's kind of like a donkey.
It's kind of like a donkey. It has a bell. Okay. Maybe. Sometimes people might put... Why? I know why you're thinking of that. You're thinking about the story that we read where they went camping and Tex brought a mule. What was the mule's name? What was the mule's name, Isabel? Sam the mule. Yeah, he had a bell. That's how they got out of the cave, right? I was wondering why you thought they had a bell, but it was because you read it in our story. You have a good memory. All right, so it's kind of like a horse. It's kind of like a donkey. Maybe they wear a bell like Sam the mule from our story when Jen and Josh were lost in the cave.
And Graham.
Oh, and Graham. Well, I have a picture of a mule. It's hiding up here. Let's see what it looks like. You've seen that picture before?
No, I saw it this morning.
Oh, you saw it this morning before I put the shade up. Yeah. What do you notice about the mule? This one I don't see a bell. What do you notice? Wes, what do you notice?
It has bags on it.
It has bags on it. And if smart. Ooh, it's being smart. All right, these are our story spellings today. I told you we were looking for sounds like k and you. So that's what we're looking for. This first row tells me we're looking for the k sound, and it's spelled CK. We're also looking for the U sound, spelled U, consonant E. And in our story, we're going to see some
Tricky words.
Tricky words. All right, so let's look at our first word that has a k sound in it. Let's break it apart first. Now let's blend it together. The word is
Black.
the tricky part, isn't it? Should, could, would. One more tricky word. Let's see what it is. Don't say it. Wait. 1, 2, 3. Two. All of these words are going to show up in our story today. They do. Should, would, could. They all rhyme. They all have the same sound at the end, don't they? And they're all tricky. They're all tricky. All right, in our story today, we're going to have 3 words that I want to make sure that you understand what they mean so that when you read them, you don't get confused. One word is set. And it's not talking about a group of objects like I have a set of dishes. It means to put something or place something somewhere. Set. I set the book on the counter. All right? We're going to be getting into groups today. You're going to read the story with a partner. I'm going to show you what it looks like so that you know. You have your reader packet in your red folder. The story is 3 pages long. 3-page long story. It starts on page what? Adriel, can you see that? 28. So you're going to look in your reader on page 28 to read the story. You're going to read it through one time with your partner. Okay? And then I want you to go back to your seat. And I want you to read it one time by yourself. And then when you're all finished, you're going to work on this paper right here, the Two Mules. And this is a retelling of the story. All of these words that are up here at the top need to go somewhere in this retelling. You have to decide where the words fit best in the story. Now, sure.
the mule was fine. When I should have. If I had, I would not have followed all his paths and mine.
Let's break it apart. Oh, there you go. You got it. Strong. Fourth day, right? Strong. My friends know that tricky word? I don't want to see loose on there. What?
Nice one. Was the bad mule said I did not help the mule with we don't have uphill, we have
All right, my friends. So what do you think? Remember, today we said we were thinking about, when we were reading today, the moral or the lesson of the story. Was the lesson the same in this story? Was it, be happy with what you have? Be careful what you wish for? We'll have to think about that. We'll talk about some questions about the story, and then hopefully it'll help us answer that question about the moral of the story. All right? So what was the man in the story doing? I'm gonna call a friend from my cup because we all just read the story, right? We should all know what the man was doing, right? Let's see, what was the man in the story doing? Anaya? There you are. You were sitting over there before. What was the man in the story doing? He was making the mules carrying the pack because what was he doing? Let's see. Let's go to that first. I think the first sentence says it. He went on a trip. It says it right there in the story. Once a man went on a trip with 2 mules. Do you think maybe, Morgan, you have an idea?
When someone asks you to help, you need to help them.
Ooh, if someone's asked, it takes a lot for people to ask for help, doesn't it? Sometimes it might be kind of embarrassing to let someone know you need help, like, I don't know how to do this, or, I can't do this by myself, I need help. So it takes a lot of courage to ask someone for help. So you should repay that courage by helping them out. So in the beginning, the man was taking a trip. In the middle, the black mule would not help the